Up until this point, we've only been working with one function, and that function is the main function. Up until this point, I described the main function as the spine of your program. It's the script that it's going to follow. And when I say script, I'm not talking about a computer script. I'm talking about a movie script or a play script, something you're going to read from start to finish, and you're going to follow those instructions. Now, you might have been celebrating and smiling, thinking that C++ is going to be a breeze because you only need to use one function. No, I should hit you for even suggesting that. We have a ton of functions, and we're going to look at how we will make new functions in this video today, and how we can use those functions and put them inside of the main, or how can we tell the main function that we want to use these functions that's not in the main function, all kinds of crazy things. So let's get started. We know we're going to get started like we always get started. Include IOStream, your preprocessor command, spelt like that. Next, you'll have using namespace std to define your namespace, and we're going to go ahead and make our main function. We're going to write integer because we're working with integers, main, open close, just like that, and your return value at the end. So right there, we have our main function. Now, if we want to make more functions, let's not put them inside the main. We're going to make it all messy. Who wants to do that? Now, there's two things you can do for putting more functions. You need to have something before the main that indicates that you want that function to be used. So there's two ways we can go about doing this. The first one is that we can go ahead and write our functions just before the main, and we have the main last. And that would work fine. So let's go ahead and do that to start off. Now, let's say we just want to print text on the screen. We don't need to write integer. We're not going to work with integer data if we don't really have any calculations going on. We can just write void. Saves even more space, less memory to be used. The reason we have to use integer down here for the main is because we need to return this value of 0 just to know we are finished. It's important that we do that. It's part of C++. You don't write void main. It has to be integer main. So here we can write void, and we can name our function whatever we want. Now remember I said you have to name the main, but after that you can name it whatever you want. So we're going to call it lemming. This is going to be the lemming function. To make sure it's a function, you need to open and close those brackets. And you can open your curly braces, and everything inside there is going to be part of the void lemming function. So now we said we're not going to be using any numbers because we're using a void here. So we can go ahead and just print something out on the screen. We will print out, this is from the lemming function, and end it off like that. And you don't need to have a return value there. You just need to put that in just like that, because void means we're not going to be returning anything. The integer on main says, I'm expecting an integer back to let me know that I'm finished, and you're going to get that 0 back from the return 0. We don't want anything back from the lemming function. It's not the script. It's just something that's going to help contribute and help us sort our things out. So we have our lemming function right there. Now, what if we go ahead and press build? Are we done here? Are we all good? Well, what happened there? Or it didn't even show us anything. It didn't even say the build was successful, because right now there is absolutely nothing inside of this main. It's the script. You're going to open up your script here, which is the main. You're going to look and say, well, there's no words on the paper. What am I supposed to do? You're going to improv? No. This program doesn't want to do improv. It failed acting school. So anyways, let's go ahead and actually figure out what we need to do here. We need to write inside of the main that we want the lemming function to be executed. So right now, you're not going to include the void when writing it inside of the main. That's one thing I want you guys to take note here, and I'll bring this up many times. We're just going to write lemming. You're going to put your two brackets, and you're going to put a semicolon to end the line, and that's all you're going to do. And we're going to press play here, or build and run, and you're going to see that right here, this is from the lemming function. So before, when we didn't have this in here, we had nothing appearing, and when we write it here, we have it appearing right here. So that means it's going to go down here. It's going to go into the main. It's going to read its script and says, oh, the lemming function. I remember seeing the lemming function before. It's going to think back to what it saw. It saw this because it's always reading top to bottom. And now it knows the lemming function. Now, what if we wanted to do something different? What if we wanted the main to be our first function up here? So what if we want the main to always be the first here? We wanted to put our lemming down here. Now, would that work? Well, now we see we even have an error here which says, like, it has no idea what the lemming function is. You can even go press play or build and run. It's going to say build failed. You see it's undeclared identifier lemming. It has no idea what's going on. Now, does that mean we cannot write our functions below the main and we have to always put them first? Because it's reading top to bottom here. It gets to the main, says, oh, time for the script. Oh, I don't know what this is. I haven't seen it before I got here. No, we can actually do something called prototyping. And function prototyping will mean we will be putting just the top of the function, just this here. before we get to the body, just the header of the function, we're going to be putting it right here. Now this is a case where you're going to include the data type, right? Down here in the main function, you do not include the void. You're just going to write the thing. But here you need to include it. So you're going to write void lemming, and you're going to end that off with a semicolon. Now that means you're going to be reading top to bottom here. You're going to go down and it says, oh, void lemming. It's going to go and make note of it down here, and it's going to continue on. And when you get to this part here of the lemming function, it's going to be able to execute it. So let's make sure this works. Let's go and press build and run here. And it says this is from the lemming function. So we saw 2 ways that we can add more functions. You need to do one of them. You either have to put your functions before, which means you would copy this whole thing and put it up here, or you can put it after, and you have to make sure you copy this function header here, everything before, or everything that's not inside of the text, or the body, sorry, which is between the 2 curly braces, and you're going to put that up here, and you're going to end it off with a semicolon, and then inside the main, you always have to do this regardless of which method you're using, you need to write the name of your function, open bracket, close bracket, and then put the semicolon at the end, and you do not include the data type. So that's how we'll be adding more functions. I personally recommend doing it this way, where you have the function listed after the main, and then you're going to prototype on top by copying that. So the only things to note, this one up here will take your data type, this one down here will not take your data type, and your entire function is down here. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I will respond to you guys as soon as possible. Have yourselves a great day.